Today is this is rather the Town of Woodbridge Board of Finance regular monthly meeting for Thursday, February 16th, 2023. And our agenda, the first item is public comments. Do we know of any public comments?
No.
No. Okay. Then, as is customary, the floor belongs to Mr. Genovese.
Okay, thank you, Matt. The first thing I want to mention is we have a new person here transitioning, taking minutes for us
Yep.
and setting up the meetings. That's Gay. Say hi, Gay.
Welcome, Gay.
Most of you may know her from the many years at the Board of Education. We now have her in our office and we're glad to have her.
Good.
Okay, so the first thing I'll mention is the year-end surplus is about $650,000. And that's about 14.6% of our fund balance through June 30th. The highlights are as follows. Our interest income continues to do well. We probably have a surplus of just under $300,000 in interest income alone. That's a good portion of our surplus. Rates are currently 4.5%, and we anticipate that'll carry on for some time. So that's a surplus there of $300,000. The intergovernmental revenue has a slight surplus of $23,000. We had received additional state funds from the municipal revenue account of $180,000 that we didn't anticipate, but we have a shortfall in special education excess cost to sort of wipes that out due to the budget was over-reported during budget time, which we work on with the Woodbridge Board of Ed. So those two essentially canceled each other out. We received $23,000 in opioid settlement funds. Those are for the, there are so far. So there were two settlements that we received these funds from. The first was the manufacturer settlement, which was from Johnson & Johnson. Second settlement was the distributors, which is McKesson, and there's a couple more distributors. Cardinal, I think, was one. It was the second settlement, and there's a third settlement that we haven't received funding from yet, which is from the pharmacies, which is Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, and there may be another. I think there's another. And so that's the third settlement, which we haven't received funds from yet. It's strongly encouraged that you use the funds for opioid-related expenditures, whether it's programs for awareness or treatment and stuff like that. So I know Human Services is working on some possible ideas.
Tony, I just want to ask you about the excess cost grant. I don't recall if it was our last meeting or somewhere. I remember hearing that the legislature is looking at changing the grant formula, but to our detriment. You have any updates on that or what cost is doing?
I spoke with the Board of Education and everything. I believe she told me that we thought what we thought was going to happen was not in the governor's proposal, and so hopefully is not likely to happen.
Oh, good. That would be awful.
I believe they rolled it back, if I remember correctly.
Thanks.
Okay. Waste management. So first in expenditures, so far we're doing pretty well with natural gas, obviously. Our rate is much higher, but which is almost a little over 2 times higher than what we had in the budget. However, our usage is not. So if it continues to stay warm, hopefully we may not have a problem with our gas accounts. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Tony, how long did you lock in for?
We locked in for 3 years.
3 years.
3. That's a little less. I think it was like 30 months.
Okay.
Waste management, there's still a deficit in that, about $50,000. One is our increased solid waste tonnage, which is up slightly, but most of it's from recycling, and we continue to pay roughly $99 a ton to get rid of our recycling. I know there's a lot of discussion in Hartford on how to address this problem. And in July, we paid $37 a ton. When we first started about 5-6 years ago, we were getting $16 a ton. So as you can see how the recycling market has changed and fluctuated over the years. So that continues to be a problem for many towns. And as the state struggles with where to put its waste, it only means that our costs were going to go up. As you know, the waste to energy plant in Hartford is closed. There's closing, and so there's only one left in Bridgeport, and maybe some smaller ones around. But our contract with our waste is up the end of 2024, so we have another year and a few months before we have to face that as well. We'll stay tuned on that.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently in a consortium with about 8 or 10 other towns, most from Fairfield County, including Fairfield, Milford, Westport. So we sort of tend to act together, so we get a better price in Bridgeport. Finally, another large item in our surplus is from Amity. As you all know, there are two reasons basically why we'll have a surplus this year of $363,000 from Amity. The first is that because there were two failed referendums this past spring, we are essentially contributing $134,000 less to Amity in our budget, because we approved a budget with an amount that was higher than what they ultimately voted on. The second part is instead of sending us a check for a surplus, which they had typically done in the past, what they are going to do this year is just reduce one of our payments by the surplus amount. So that's yet another reduction, which is $230,000, which will reduce a payment. So the effect is the same, where we're getting the funds from the surplus, but instead of sending us a check, they just reduce a payment. So from the 2022 surplus, of which this is, that was last June 30th, they'll go through their audit process, get their final audit figure in their final surplus amount. I would simply say you use some of your fund balance in the same manner, which you'll see in the budget when we go over the budget. So it's sort of the same, just one bucket versus the other, because this will roll into fund balance as of June 30th, thus increasing your fund balance more.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions on these items? Right.
Just, the opioid monies, that can only be used for opioid cases, I guess.
Well, what they say is, if you don't use it for opioid, you have to report it. But I'm not sure what that means if you don't use it for opioid. I know it's strongly encouraged, but if you don't, if you don't report it, I'm not sure if there's like a penalty.
I'm sure you'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, governor's budget update, Tony?
So the governor's budget came out, and we were up a few $100,000. There was an increase in the motor vehicle grant, just because as your mill rate goes up, you get more money for the motor vehicle offset. But other than that, our amounts were pretty stable. So we'll as we go through the process, I'll get you updated information and more accurate information for your next meeting. Probably for your budget meeting, you'll have a lot of that information. But I thought we did well, actually, all things considered.
What about the car tax that we're supposed to be, have we gotten any reimbursement on that yet? That would have been.
We got $1 million. That went from $1 million to $1.3 million.
Okay. So
that's the one that went up. One of our grants, it's called a municipal stabilization grant. It's for $120,000. Went from to a revenue sharing account, which means that instead of being guaranteed the money, we get the money if the state does well. So it's more of a revenue sharing grant as opposed to just automatically getting the funds. So that could have some risk to it, but other than that one, I believe we're doing pretty well.
Okay. So there'll be more to come on this.
Yes, when you review the budget, Yeah, when you review your budget on March 2nd, I think it was, we can have a lot more information on it.
Okay. All right. Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report. I'm sure, Tom, you want to cover some of this when you,
I'll do it during the
Okay.
liaison thing,
Okay.
I guess.
any other, Tony?
No, that's it.
Okay. Any other questions for Tony? Okay. Funding requests. So I think there's only one, right?
Correct.
Okay, and of course it has to do with the pool filters. And it's not coming out of our budget. Tony's found the money in various rec accounts. They all rec accounts, Tony?
No, there's one rec account and there's
Okay. Pool and
the
gym.
others are from pool and gym. So the rec is from seasonal wages that were not necessary.
Okay.
And the pool and gym is from supplies and chemicals
Okay.
and that weren't necessary because there was no filter, no pool.
Okay. So let me put this on the table so we can talk about it. I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2223-19 in the amount of $61,365. Somebody second it.
I'll
I'll
second it.
second it.
Second.
All
I
right, so,
I did on mute, so that wasn't.
I was on mute too.
okay,
so.
so what will this, I mean, there's been so much discussion. The pool is now sitting empty. So if they do this filter job with all will they then be able to open the pool? Because I know there's so many other things they want to.
So this will replace the filters like for like. It'll put the exact same filters in that were taken out.
Yeah.
The town is going to do some of the demolition and some of the removal of the equipment to lower the cost. Brad is very helpful and instrumental in doing that on many of our projects, and this is one of them. So we appreciate that. And this will replace the filters, repair the pool controller, which is essentially the controller that controls the amount of chlorine and chemicals that are put in the water.
Okay.
There's a UV light that we have to repair. A UV light is a filter. It's essentially the water passes through the light, which allows us to use fewer chemicals.
Okay.
And it's a better quality water because the UV light helps to reduce the chemical usage. And then there's just some cost of filling back up the pool. Once this takes place, the pool will be operational. The timetable can anywhere from 4 to 6 months, depending on the delivery of the filters.
Okay.
That's really the big question. We're told 12 to 16 weeks out are the filters. So, and we'll see.
And then, so we do this and we can start using the pool again, but how urgent is all the other stuff?
So within the next, say, 3 years, you probably will have to fix there's like a window there that needs to be fixed. That's showing some signs of deterioration. It's essentially, there's that, and there's these filters there's these vents that leak a little bit. Those will probably have to be fixed also. That's sort of the next 2 projects that need to be repaired.
Okay.
So, but that's, you're probably 2 to 3 years on that. And then there's a series of other things that are in your capital budget that would need to be done over, foreseeable future.
So obviously, if we don't do this, there's no pool.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just curious. I don't know, Beth, if you remember, did the Board of Selectmen approve it unanimously?
Yes, they did.
They did. Okay.
Yep.
Good to know. Okay. Anybody have any comments or thoughts on this? That's
I'll
all.
just say I was a little surprised. I mean, I support the idea of having a pool. I was a little surprised we were doing this because at this time only because I thought we were waiting for some other information. I think in general it's nice to get a couple of years more out of the pool. I'm hoping that the selectmen will use this time to really look at it, because if my understanding of what the consultant said was that we need $800,000 more to get some more life into the pool. And that seems like a lot of money, especially given how many people use a pool. And the other thing I would say is that I'm hoping that during the same time that the rec department, is going to look at maybe doing some fundraising. If they really want that pool to, we want this pool to go on, someone has to sort of do the same thing we've done for other projects in town, is to get the community to support it. But at least we'll have it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of the things that the consultant mentioned is going bad won't happen quicker than he thought they might. But
That's my thinking, if we get a couple of years out of it and then we're looking at 800,000, that'll be a different discussion.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we get this thing going because I think it's an important part of the town and people really do use it. But Tony, let me ask you, I don't know if this is unrelated or maybe it is related. With the pool shut down, has Rex expenses come down with it? I mean, I know they've got pool directors and pool this and lifeguards.
Yes. They have, yes. They have
Yeah.
their lifeguards. They don't have, they're not paying. There's a whole host of salaries, part-time seasonal wages that were deferred or not paid as a result. Some of which we're using here to fund these filters.
Okay. Oh, I see that. Okay. Good idea. Good to know. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor? I'm yes. Tom?
yes,
Susan, yes.
Yes.
Donovan, yes. Ellen? Yes. Okay. So that's 5-0. It's unanimous in my book. Okay. Approval of minutes. We have before us our monthly meeting on January 19th, and I will move acceptance of the minutes of the Board of Finance from January 19th as presented.
Second, and I
Any-
to say it.
Any corrections, adjustments, suggestions, anything at all? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Yes. Tom?
yes.
Yes. And Ellen, yes. Okay. Next on the agenda is the first selectman's report.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I'm pleased that the Board of Selectmen and now the Board of Finance has voted unanimously to approve the funds to replace the pool filters as a line item transfer within the Recreation Commission's budget. I believe that the Beecher Road School is an asset to our community, and it provides a vast range of programs for the development of the community swimmers, including learning to swim, programming through Beecher Road School, and lessons to the Recreation Department, which is a vital life skill for our children to learn. It also acts as a feeder system to the Amity High School swim team and to the Woodbridge Aquatic Club. The pool provides a recreational outlet and opportunity for the continued health and well-being for all community members, from the youngest to the oldest of our residents. So again, thank you for doing this. I was asked by the Woodbridge Board of Education Chair, Lynn Piazzik, to appoint a member of the Board of Selectmen and a member of the Board of Finance to the newly created Beecher Road School, and it's a very long title, Enrollment, Instructional Needs, and Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee, to review and address the implications of increasing enrollment at the school. I let Matt know that I have asked Board of Finance member Susan Jacobs and Board of Selectmen member Joe Crisco to take this on, and they have both agreed. This committee's membership will also consist of a cross-section of district officials, school personnel, and a community member. It will review enrollment, projections, programmatic and instructional needs, and staffing configurations which pose challenges in the current setting, and will make a report to the Woodbridge Board of Education at its September meeting. The Ad Hoc Dispatch Committee for our Police and Fire Department continues to work with our consultant, Mike Boucher. As a reminder, this small committee is comprised of Fire Commissioner Karen Kravitz, Police Commissioner Andy Esposito, Selectman Paul Kyriakos, and Tony Genovese. As you know, our district animal control has regional services of Woodbridge, Bethany, and Seymour, and there is now momentum to regionalize the town's emergency dispatch services, so this committee will begin to explore regional options. I'm also putting together a small committee to interview potential consultants to assist the Board of Selectmen with a review of the plan for the proposed RFP for the former Country Club of Woodbridge property. This small group will be made up of Selectmen David Vogel and Paul Kyriakos, Tony Genovese, and me. And just a final note, we were able to book the Monday, April 24th preliminary budget hearing at the Amity High School Auditorium, and also the annual town meeting on Monday, May 15th at the Amity High School Auditorium, both at 7:30 p.m. And I thank Amity High School for making those both available to us. It worked out very well last year for our annual meeting. So with that, I'm here. All done. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, number 6, liaison reports. I would just like to tell you a couple of things that are going on as it pertains to Amity. Needless to say, I'm in constant contact with both chairman of the Orange and Bethany boards of finance. Now, when Amity met with them, they tell them immediately, we don't do this, but they tell them immediately what they will support or won't support or whatever. Orange told them that they would support 0.4%. And my understanding is, and they voted right in front of the Amity, Bethany wants 0. So there's no doubt in my mind that they're not going to get 2.93 or whatever it is. I could tell you that's because besides that, I don't think it'll do very well in referendum. But there's discussions going on about lowering it. I don't know if that's going to come to any fruition, but very definitely there's a lot of dissatisfaction with all the money they're keeping in surplus and an automatic $1 million into capital and non-recurring. And so my guess is that their budget is going to be adjusted, I think, but if not, it's going to probably not do very well at referendum. I also wanted to mention when Dr. Byers was with us at our meeting and reported to us, and very unfortunately, our number has gone up significantly, to the tune of $1 million. What she failed to tell you is the reason Orange has gone down and Woodbridge has gone up is because 20% of the class, the 8th grade class in Orange, did not go to the high school. They decided to go elsewhere. Their parents pulled them out and sent them elsewhere. So you take, I think that's 38 students from Orange that pulled out of Amity. That's a huge number. And that's why Orange's number is down and our number is up, because we have to make up the difference. So there's a great deal of dissatisfaction, quite frankly. But we'll see where it goes. Like I said, I continue to have conversations with Kevin and her name escapes me, but the chairman of the Bethany Board of Finance. And we're going to basically keep in touch and decide. But like I said, they've already thrown the first salvo at it, 0.4 and 0. Matter of fact, Bethany's talking about a reduction. I don't think you can do that. It's Sharon, that's her name, from Bethany. So I'll keep you posted on what's going on, but I think Amity is getting the message that there's a lot of dissatisfaction, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, anybody else have a report?
Matt, I have a question for
Yeah.
you. I know that Donovan is now our representative on the finance board.
Right.
Are you acting as liaison to the general board, or is Donovan in that role also?
No.
That's clear to me.
Yeah, no. I don't think we never had a liaison to the general board. It was always just the finance committee.
Okay, so
I'm acting. No, I'm talking independently to the other towns, and I'm just telling you what we're talking about.
in your just not officially as part of it, because I know
No.
our liaison there.
I understand, Donovan. Did I understand you guys didn't vote on the budget the other night?
No, we decided not to. We weren't ready to vote yet. There is an op-ed that was submitted to the papers that hasn't been printed yet. But I haven't seen it in our papers yet.
Yeah.
Suggested some changes to the budget.
Yeah.
But the group we weren't ready to vote on the 2.93% increase yet.
Okay.
So yeah, I attended the last meeting, and to Tony's point, the audit was issued, and I agree with his number. $711,000 of unspent funds will be not necessarily returned to the districts, but offered as a credit, offsetting what we owe. I know that a couple of things came up in the audit. The self-insured health insurance fund has decreased year over year, and at year end they had a 12% reserve, which the auditors recommend a 25% reserve, but To my
Here we go.
understanding,
Here we go again.
my understanding, I know it's now 18%, which so 25%. Just for folks to understand, 25% represent 3 months of unclaimed expenses. Um, other than that, that's it. Nothing
Sure.
much more.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Tom,
Matt,
you
I just have a question, and
Uh.
you may not know the answer to it, but where did this 20% of Orange enrollment going to other high schools come from?
well, it's a fact.
If it's a
No,
fact, where did it come from?
I've got this, yeah, I've got this report here. Yes, it's a known fact. That 20% of the 8th grade class did not go to the high school.
What is this out of an Orange report
Oh,
that
yeah.
they've issued?
Yeah, there's this, one of the members of the Board of Finance, her name is Megan Rabus. She's been compiling all this information. I got a whole bunch of stuff here about why these people, she contacted the people who didn't have their kids come back and to find out what the reason was. I could, the main reasons, I'll read them to you, were toxic culture, bullying,
I don't need to know.
etc.
I don't need to know the reasons.
Yeah, no, it's one of the Board of Finance members in Orange has compiled, it's a known fact though, that 38 kids from the 8th grade class did not go to Amity.
Has the administration at the Orange Middle School verified that?
I don't know. I know that it's been widely reported that the 20% of the 8th grade class did not go on to high school. I'll get you more information.
Okay,
All right.
I'm gonna withhold. It sounds like an odd number to me, but okay,
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to Megan.
okay.
Okay. Tom, you want to talk about a few things?
Sure. So I did attend the feature board of or finance committee meeting on Tuesday. They're continuing to have a surplus, mostly due to the fact that they struggling to hire or find paraprofessionals, the TAs to hire. So they have a pretty big, I think the number was, let's see, what did they tell us? The number was about 340,000. They have, the superintendent has asked the Board of Ed, I guess, to vote on transferring $77,000 of that so that they can get some what they're calling behavioral technicians. This is from a third party who would bring in people with behavioral expertise to assist in the classrooms because they can't get the TAs that they need. But that still leaves a projected surplus of about 260,000. So stay tuned. We'll see how that goes. And they're working on the budget. I'm waiting to hear what the selectmen and we have to say. And as you heard, there's that ad hoc committee that Susan graciously has accepted to be on it. There's some projected numbers that they may see as many as 80 to 100 new students in the next 7 to 10 years. I think they want that committee to verify that. And I believe they say that is not based on new housing necessarily. So they are, of course, worried about that, what they're going to do.
Of course, you know my theory. It's based on COVID. Everybody was stuck in the house, and you know what happens when that happens.
I like your optimism on that, but
It's the COVID class.
so it's the COVID class. So that's what's happening at the Board of Ed. I have to say that I think the new superintendent seems very, very good and very open to discussions, and she seems to be working well with the Board of Ed. So I think that's a good sign.
Okay. I could say this about their budget. I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen an education budget where you have the superintendent's recommended budget and then the Board of Ed's addition to that of 1% to make it higher. I've never seen that. I think they put it in there specifically so we would see it and didn't just absorb it into the budget. I've never seen a Board of Ed increase superintendent's request, but this is Beecher Road School we're talking about, so we will, we'll see about that. Anything else? Okay, so I guess 2 weeks from tonight, we're meeting to talk about the budget, and in looking at preliminary numbers with Tony, I would strongly recommend that everybody take a long, hard look at this budget, because we could have a really, tough result for the taxpayers of Woodbridge based on what we're coming up with. And, like I said, I'm hoping Amity cuts theirs a little bit, but I don't know if we'll know about it in 2 weeks. And then we go from there, but, it's started out at 10%, and I guess Tony's gotten it down some, but we're still higher than I certainly would like to be. So again, when you come on March 2nd, I'm sure we're gonna get together and put together some proposed cuts to get it down, but if you could look at it, and come up with some ideas, that would be a great thing. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Do we want to do that virtually, or do we want to do it in person?
I will prefer virtually only because I'm going to be in St. Louis. So if you do it in person, I will
Oh,
not be able to participate. But
okay. I think we could do it virtually. We can do it virtually. What we'll do is we'll come up with whatever we come up with, and then we'll get it to you in email. So you'll at least be able to look at what
thank you.
we're suggesting, but it's high. So. Okay, is that it? Anybody else? Susan, by the way, I think Megan's reports were in the Orangetown News. The detail, if you want to go online and look at all her detailed reports, he would, for whatever reason, the publisher wouldn't put them in the Woodbridgetown News, even though they certainly affect our figures. So, if you want to, I'll get you more information. But if you want to go on and find Orangetown News, I think you'll be able to read her report. She's brilliant. I'll tell you that. She's a Notre Dame cum laude graduate. She does all this statistical stuff. The girl is amazing. She really is. So,
Is
okay,
anyone looking at it from the Bethany Middle School? I mean, is this an aberration in Orange, or is this?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because it would be a
That's
little
good
odd if
question.
it's.
Another good question, but it just so happens we have an active person in Orange who's really going after this stuff. So, more to come. Okay, I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. See you in 2 weeks.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye bye.